The film starts in a small village called Rose Creek, where the peaceful atmosphere is suddenly shattered by the sound of an explosion coming from a nearby gold mine. Soon after, a group of armed men arrives, and it becomes clear that the explosion was caused by a wealthy and ruthless man named Bartholomew Bogue. Bogue has come to take control of the village and its gold mine, giving his men orders to seize everything. After this shocking event, the villagers gather in the local church to discuss the future of their homes and land, which have now fallen under Bogue's control. Among those at the meeting are Matthew Cullen and his wife, Emma Cullen, who try to offer words of hope and encouragement to their fellow villagers. Just as the meeting is underway, Bogue and his men burst into the church, demanding that the villagers sell their land to him at a dirt-cheap price. He issues a terrifying threat. Anyone who refuses to sign over their land will be killed. Despite the villagers' attempts to resist, Bogue shows no mercy and burns down the church to assert his dominance. Not long after, in a nearby town called Amador, a man named Sam Chisholm is seen riding into town on horseback. In a bar, another man, Joshua Faraday, is playing cards when Chisholm walks in and orders a drink. He asks the bartender about a man named Daniel Horrison, but as he does so, a group of men in the bar begins to draw their guns, ready to shoot. It turns out the bartender is the man Chisholm has been searching for, and in a quick move, Chisholm shoots him. Panic spreads through the bar as people run to call the sheriff. However, Faraday remains calm, watching the scene unfold. When the sheriffs arrive, Chisholm reveals that he is a high-ranking officer, and that the bartender was actually a fugitive wanted by the government. Meanwhile, Emma Cullen, along with a man named Teddy, has been observing Chisholm closely. After he leaves, they chase after him, desperate for help. Emma pleads with Chisholm to save her village from Bogue's tyrannical grip, offering him a small amount of money as a token of her gratitude. She explains that she doesn't care about wealth. All she wants is justice for her people and revenge for her husband's death. At the same time, Faraday finds himself in a dangerous situation as two men he had been gambling with earlier now have him at gunpoint. Using his quick wit, Faraday manages to distract them with a card trick, leaving them amazed and giving him the upper hand. While Chisholm, Emma, and Teddy are making plans to confront Bogue, they realize that they are outnumbered and will need additional help. Chisholm suggests that they recruit skilled individuals to even the odds. Meanwhile, Faraday is seen trying to charm a man into returning his horse, which he lost in a dice game. Faraday offers to buy the horse back, but he doesn't have enough money. Just as the situation escalates, Chisholm, Emma, and Teddy arrive. Chisholm steps in and offers to buy the horse for Faraday on one condition. Faraday must join them in their mission against Bogue. Without hesitation, Faraday agrees, and the group continues their journey to gather more recruits. Along the way, Chisholm sends Faraday and Teddy to find a man named Goodnight or Goody, who is in a nearby town called Spring Volcano. Chisholm instructs them to bring Goodnight back within 3 days so they can regroup in Johnson Town. Meanwhile, Chisholm and Emma venture deep into the forest, arriving at a small, isolated cabin. Inside, they find the body of a man, and moments later, another man appears and draws a gun on them. The man is named Vasquez, and he is initially hostile, assuming Chisholm and Emma are there to arrest him. Chisholm quickly diffuses the situation by showing Vasquez a letter, proving that he knows Vasquez is a fugitive. Instead of threatening him, Chisholm offers a deal. If Vasquez joins their team to fight Bogue, Chisholm will have his name cleared from the government's wanted list. With no better option, Vasquez reluctantly agrees to join them. Meanwhile, Faraday and Teddy arrive in the town of Spring Volcano, where they witness an impressive shooting display by two men. One of the shooters is a skilled marksman named Billy Rocks. Nearby, a man is casually sipping his drink. This man is Goodnight, the person they've been sent to find. After the show, they overhear someone calling out Goody's name as he collects his winnings from a bet. Realizing they've found him, they approach Goody and inform him that his old friend Sam Chisholm needs his help for an important mission. Hearing all of their stories, Goody finally agrees to join Chisholm's team, and he convinces his friend Billy Rocks to come along, knowing Billy's skills would be invaluable in the fight ahead. The group continues their journey and eventually reaches a cabin, where they encounter two men boasting that they had killed Jack Horn, the very man Chisholm and the team were searching for. However, moments later, Jack Horn himself appears and swiftly kills the two men. Chisholm then explains the purpose of their visit, inviting Horn to join their fight against Bartholomew Bogue and his oppressive regime. Horn, however, doesn't respond and walks away without saying a word, leaving Chisholm and the others disappointed. They decide to continue their journey without him. The following day, while the group is resting, they are abruptly awakened by a strange sense of panic. Someone senses the smell of blood in the air, causing alarm among them. Suddenly, Jack Horn reappears and warns them that a group from the Comanche tribe is approaching. Thankfully, Chisholm knows some of the Comanche language, and when the tribe arrives, he speaks with one of its members, a warrior named Red Harvest. Chisholm explains that they are gathering allies to fight against Bogue and his men. After listening to Chisholm's reasoning, Red Harvest agrees to join the team. As a gesture of commitment, Red even offers Chisholm the liver of a deer they had hunted, which Chisholm eats as part of a traditional pact of agreement. After their long journey, the group finally arrives at Rose Creek, where the battle is set to take place. Chisholm and Billy scout the area while the others spread out to observe the positions of Bogue's men. While on patrol, Chisholm and Billy encounter a group of Bogue's guards who demand that they surrender their weapons. Chisholm, however, stands his ground and declares that they are there to drive out Bogue's men from the village. Without warning, Red Harvest fires an arrow, striking one of the guards, signaling that Chisholm's words are not an idle threat. A chaotic fight breaks out, but Goody, despite being the best marksman among them, acts strangely during the battle. He refrains from firing any shots, even when he has a clear target in sight. At one point, he aims at a fleeing enemy but decides not to pull the trigger. Once the battle concludes and most of the guards are eliminated, Chisholm spots one of Bogue's men hiding. He calls the man out and sends him back with a message for Bogue. Rose Creek has been taken over by Chisholm, and if Bogue wishes to reclaim it, he must come and negotiate directly. When the situation finally calms down, Emma calls for all the villagers to come out of hiding. She explains that Chisholm and his companions have come to help them fight against Bogue and his forces. Chisholm then addresses the villagers, telling them that this is just the beginning of a larger battle, and in a week's time, they will need to be ready to face Bogue's troops. To prepare, he and his team will spend the week training the villagers, teaching them how to handle weapons and defend themselves. The next day, the training begins. Goody takes the lead in teaching the villagers how to shoot, while Faraday, noticing that some of them are struggling, asks Goody to demonstrate the proper way to aim and fire. The villagers work hard under their guidance, and soon Chisholm's team starts developing a more detailed strategy to take on Bogue's much larger force. Horn comes up with the idea of setting up mine bombs in strategic locations to create traps for Bogue's men. They decide to go to the gold mine where Bogue's men have been working because Emma mentioned that the mining process involves using explosives. After successfully eliminating the guards at the mine and freeing the workers, Chisholm and his team gather up all the bombs from the mine's storage. Meanwhile, Bogue learns of the uprising in Rose Creek and is furious at the news. The next day, Chisholm's team begins setting up their defensive traps and preparing the village for the inevitable attack. They place hidden explosives, establish hiding spots, and even fortify the church that Bogue had previously burned down, turning it into a makeshift fortress. As everyone is busy with preparations, Chisholm asks Red Harvest to scout the area and monitor the movements of Bogue's army. That evening, the group gathers for dinner, sharing moments of laughter and camaraderie. However, amidst the lighthearted atmosphere, Goody quietly confides in Billy. He reveals that he no longer wants to shoot because he once vowed never to kill again. Goody believes that if he breaks his vow, he will meet a terrible fate. Billy tries to reassure him, telling Goody that everything will be fine and encourages him to stay strong. Outside, Chisholm has a conversation with a local priest. The priest expresses his gratitude to Chisholm for stepping up to help the village, even though he isn't a native of Rose Creek. The priest admires his bravery, thanking him for leading the charge to reclaim the villagers' homes and land. The next day, as the church bells rang through the village, Red, who had been keeping watch, came rushing in with urgent news. He had spotted Bogue and his troops approaching, and they were expected to arrive by the next morning. That night, as the villagers gathered to pray for their safety, Goody secretly made plans to leave the village. Chisholm, sensing Goody's intentions, tried to stop him, urging him to stay and reminding him that the villagers desperately needed his help. However, despite Chisholm's efforts to convince him, Goody remained stubborn and left the village in the dead of night. After Goody's departure, Chisholm sat alone in the church, looking troubled as he contemplated the difficult battle ahead. His worry was evident, knowing that the odds were stacked against them. Emma soon approached him, determined and resolute. She told Chisholm that if Goody wasn't going to fight, she would take his place in the battle. The next morning, the day of the battle arrived. Chisholm's team took up their positions while the women and children were escorted to a safe hiding place. As predicted, Bogue's troops marched into the village and the fight began. During the chaos of the battle, Faraday was shot, and upon seeing this, Vasque became enraged. He opened fire on Bogue's men in a fury, determined to protect his injured friend. Realizing the tide of the battle was turning against him, Bogue ordered his men to prepare the Gatling gun, a powerful weapon that could decimate Chisholm's forces. In the middle of the fight, Goody unexpectedly returned. He warned his comrades to be cautious as Bogue was about to unleash the Gatling gun on them. As the deadly weapon was fired, the scene became one of devastation. The relentless barrage of bullets left many injured and dead, including Vasquez and Teddy, who were both fatally shot. Horn, who was attempting to save Teddy, was struck by an arrow and died instantly, ending his brave fight. Seeing the battle grow increasingly dire, Chisholm quickly ordered the remaining villagers, especially the women and children, to retreat to higher ground for safety. Emma, in the midst of helping an injured villager, was suddenly confronted by a member of the Comanche tribe, the very tribe that had killed Horn earlier. Meanwhile, Faraday, weakened from his injury, turned to Chisholm and asked for his protection. Faraday planned to make a daring attack on Bogue's men who were operating the Gatling gun, and he also called for Goody and Billy to cover him from a high vantage point in the tower. In the midst of the chaos, both Goody and Billy were caught in the crossfire of the Gatling gun and were killed instantly, their valiant efforts coming to a tragic end. As the battle neared its end, Faraday lay dying, but even in his final moments he found time to savor a cigar. Meanwhile, Bogue, believing the danger had passed, approached the village with two of his men. Hearing a noise from inside one of the houses, Bogue ordered his men to investigate. It was then that Chisholm confronted Bogue, and the two of them made their way toward the church. Inside the church, Bogue, sensing defeat, apologized to Chisholm. However, Chisholm harbored a deep and personal vendetta against Bogue. Years earlier, Bogue's men had murdered Chisholm's mother and two sisters, leaving him with a burning desire for justice. As Chisholm's rage surfaced, Bogue secretly reached for a hidden gun in his shoe, hoping to catch Chisholm off guard. But before Bogue could make his move, Emma appeared and shot him, killing him instantly. With Bogue dead, the battle was finally over. Chisholm looked around at the aftermath, realizing that only a few of his team had survived. The remaining members were Vasquez, Red Harvest, Teddy, and Emma. They stood amidst the wreckage of their fierce struggle, mourning the loss of their fallen comrades. The village priest approached Chisholm, offering to give his friends a proper burial. Then the film ended. That's a wrap on today's movie recap. If you enjoyed the breakdown and want to see more, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell icon so you never miss an update. Let me know in the comments what movie you'd like me to cover next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.